Good evening, 7:05 p.m. East Coast time. Boogie with the Bull Tuesday night live is somewhere on a device near you. With me today is Jen, the homeschool mom Woodruff, in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And the guy who is better looking than me is in the right-hand corner of your screen, Robert Angel Little, the author of the book Innocence Lost, who will take us through the ongoing saga of surviving the Romanian Revolution and at some point emigrating to the United States. He has a whole bunch of things that he's going to bring up relative to being a communist and not living in the United States and how things are done in some communist countries. And I heard rumors that he might even say something about Ukraine, but don't don't uh, don't quote me. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jen, and then Jen will give Robert a minute or two to introduce himself, and the testimony will begin. The live chat, the only live chat that is being monitored tonight, is on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel and the Dave Global profile here on Facebook. Those are the only two live chats that are being monitored. So if you have a question for Robert, you have to put it in one of those two live chats, and I will sneak it in as quickly as I can. So without further ado,
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone, and hello, Robert. And I just wanted to update everybody. We're talking about Romania and we're talking about the revolution. Well, now we're past that. We did two shows on that. And I wanted to update everyone listening to the fact that Romania is not just the old country. That's what we've always referred it to as the old country. And you imagine all these beautiful fruit trees and chickens running around and shepherds and stuff like that, vines and vineyards. But no, there is so much more to Romania. It's amazing. They are inventors. And Robert, what was the billboard that you told me about that they put up? It was something about they made everything. What was that billboard?
The largest commercial billboard in Eastern Europe
Yeah.
was, and I quote it, eat fish. There should not be any table missing the fish. It was the largest commercial in Eastern Europe. Yeah, Romania was providing a large quantity of fish delicacies whenever tourists were coming over there, and not just tourists, but also people from the internally, and also within the communist world. Um, we had quite an extensive culinary um, dishes when it came to the preparedness of fish. I mean, we're talking about catfish, we're talking about carp, we're talking about pike, we're talking about trout, basically a lot of fish, both freshwater and saltwater fish. So that was the biggest
Wow.
billboard that we had in communism. They were just promoting the fish industry. It was not
Wow.
something capitalistic like you would have here in the United States. It was just that the country was making tons of money because of that billboard, that fish commercial.
That's amazing. They fabricated a lot of things, but they didn't just make them. They invented things. I was shocked. I was reading about this. Let me just give you a quick list. I mean, you know, Robert, but people need to know these things because I was like, no, are you for real? And so I was saying this,
Yes.
and it's amazing. My son was like, really, mom? I'm like, they did it first. They invented, okay, the fountain pen. And my son, he's 25, and he says, no, that had to be England. That's like so British. I'm like,
Yeah,
trust me. It was.
Petrache Poenaru was the very first person who invented the fountain pen. Go ahead.
And then insulin. I was like, "Oh my
Correct.
gosh, this is so cool." They have like scientists there, physicists, scientists. It was scientists who did this, doctors. Okay, and then let's see. and then they got, as time went on, they got into 3D movies. And my son, I'm like, really? I go, do we even have movies then? And he goes, yeah. And I said, 1927. He goes, it was in 1922. I'm like, shut up. They had 3D movies. They knew like the ultraviolet, one side was red, and then they put a blue lens on the other, and they could make it 3D. And I thought that's
I,
cool.
I,
And the first,
I want to
yes,
make a parenthesis here. I sure hope you don't mind. Okay,
go ahead.
the reason most of the Americans or the people in the Western world did not hear about these scientists, like because they were supposed to be issued, Nobel Prizes and whatever other
Oh,
awards, was because the country was basically unknown at the time, and
right.
some people claim that they had it before them. See, the Romanians were actually denied, at least, if I'm not mistaken, probably between 15 to 25 Nobel Peace Prizes or Nobel Awards on the discoveries of a lot of the things, like even cybernetics.
Wow.
Ion Constantin Parhon was the one who came up with the idea of cybernetics, and this was like back somewhere between the 60s, but he was never recognized for it by the Western world.
Wow.
The insulin thing also was actually credited to an American and two Canadians. Um, there was also, as far as the jet engine,
Right.
the jet engine is an invention of Henry Quanda, who's also Romanian, and it came out basically during World War II. Now, Henry Quanda was working with the Allies at the time, but he was not given the Nobel Prize for it. Some British guy took it.
Oh
Now,
my
why would
God.
they do that? Is because Romania at the time was an Axis member, Rome,
Wow.
Tokyo, Berlin. So they said, I was like, okay, we're not going to give it to this guy because he represents Romania, and we can't have the Romanians coming up with a jet engine, so they give it to a Brit.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
it's a lot of injustices in the world when it comes to that. I'll give you another example. In the United States, everybody is going to say that the inventor of the radio is Marconi. Well, in the
Italian?
Eastern world,
Yeah.
we don't think of Marconi. The very first person that comes to mind is
Right.
Pavlov. He's a Russian.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marconi came
Wow.
up with the radio in 1905. Pavlov actually did that in 1901. But hey, he's Russian. He's not a Western guy. You know what I mean?
He was an excess. Wow. Back
There you go, right there.
yeah, back to the invention of or yeah, the airplane jet, they also invented the ejection seat, and they just used one today. And I said, "Oh, I bet that was made in Romania, or else it was, invented there." But there was a plane that went out of New Mexico, Albuquerque, this morning, and it crashed in the mountain. And I was like, "Oh my God, who was it carrying? Someone important?" Because these things are happening all the time lately, and someone important dies. And he's like, "No, it was just a pilot, and he ejected, and he's fine." And I said, "That was made in Romania." So I was happy to hear
Yeah,
that.
even the very first person to be considered to fly
Yeah.
in the United States and the rest of the world, everybody thinks is the Orville and Wright brothers, right?
The right
Well, they
yes.
did it in 1903. Well, in 1891, there was a guy named Traian Vuia, Romanian, who built
Wow.
up some sort of a helicopter running with a bicycle.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he put
I
up,
thought that was
like
like
a big rotor right on top of it, and that one was the basically the very first flying person to do it, 1891 or 1895, something like that. But he did it way before the Wright brothers, and he never got the credit for it, even though a very powerful community in the Western world recognized it, and that would be the French, because Traian Vuia tested his bicycle helicopter in Paris. Now, I
Wow.
was wondering how come this guy did not was the first person to fly since Icarus, but they had decided, you know what, it's the Wright brothers. Okay, yeah, they're Americans.
Okay.
Okay, let's give it to them, that kind of sort of thing. So, but
That's
hey,
so
uh,
bad.
science is science, inventions are inventions, and there's always going to be a screw up on who's supposed to get it and, that kind of sort of
Right.
thing. But to me, I just tell it, so I tell the world that they don't have to live with the wrong impression. And I'm not trying to erase anybody else's history, but I'm just trying to tell it the way it was. I mean, of
That's
course, if
wise.
some people, like to, counter argue, okay, fine. You bring me the counter argument. I just told you the guy flew in 1895. What are you going
We're
to tell me?
going by, yeah,
Between
we're going by
1895 and
date.
1903, it's at least 8 freaking years, man. Give me a break. So, and we have
Right.
the proof for it and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
The
Romania is
last
very well known for a lot of inventions that were never recognized.
the last two inventions I was really proud of was the for women was that, well, I'm sure men could use it too. Anti-aging cream. They're face creams. And that was just awesome. I'm sure it had retinol in it. Or else I know that in the early 1900s they would put things up at they were called apothecary um what drugstores, and they would put up heroin, great for your complexion. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I wonder if
Okay,
they,
now,
yeah.
do you know what that anti-aging cream is called? Who invented it and what actually contained?
Heroin, opium,
Nope,
retinol. What?
nope. Okay, the person's name is Anna Aslan. Like Aslan, the lion in the witch, the wardrobe, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Anna Aslan came up with Gero Vital. That was the name of the cream, the anti-aging cream.
Okay.
But when I asked my old man, God rest his soul, what the hell, what the hell was in that cream that made anti-aging process the right way to do? And my old man said it. I'm not going to beat the bush or beat around the bush with you, Robert. I'm going to tell you plain and simple. Male sperm made up the main composition of Gerovital.
Oh dear God.
Yes,
And it
a
was
lot of people
not
are going to say, like, man, that's disgusting. No, it's not.
a
Male testosterone was used to build this cream. People, ladies would put it on their face and would make them look younger. Now, obviously, maybe there's a lot of people that do not understand how come, you have something like that. Well, a lot of women, I'm pretty sure, they know that the power of male testosterone gives them, whatever it gives them. You know what I mean? I don't want to be, you
well
know, uh,
then.
too
Yeah.
dirty or anything like that. But the power of the male testosterone has that kind of quality to make them look younger.
That's powerful.
Um, yes. So
Yeah.
it went on for a very long time. Anna Aslan, if I'm not mistaken, I think she died in the 1990s of old age. And then one of the guys, believe this or not, I found out recently, I would say about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I came back from Iowa and I accidentally bumped on the intern on in one of the bars with a guy who claimed he knew a Romanian. Now, he told me the guy's name and I was kind of a little bit blanked out because the way he pronounced them, kind of messed him up. So I wrote it down and he said, yeah, that's the guy. I was like, if this is the guy right here, then this guy was with me in junior high.
Oh, you went to
Now,
school
he
with.
gave me the guy's number. I call him up and he says, yeah, that's me. What's up? Long time no see, whatever. This guy
Wow.
stole the idea from Anna Aslan. He's now in Michigan. Besides being a mason, he's also an entrepreneur in a lot of things. And among other things, he is also trying to promote the Giro Vital, but under a different name. I don't know what it is right now because I haven't been, in contact with him in, like in about 10 years. But
Wow.
he and his family have been trying to um, promote it themselves. Technically speaking, they stole the patent. They didn't even ask permission for it because at that time, when Anna Aslan was in communism, she didn't have a patent. She invented it, but it was actually part of the state. So whatever the Giro Vital would be making its way around the world. It's not like she was making millions of dollars profit. No, the state was. So after the revolution, a lot of the people who invented a lot of these stuff, used for social care, for hygiene, for everything like that, they
Right.
didn't even wait for the state to give them the approval for it. So they stole them. They
Oh
took
my
it under their
gosh.
names, and they're the ones who are selling now, and they're making money out of it and all that kind of stuff. Yes, it's pretty messed up, but that's the way it has been. I mean, you take a look at what a lot of the Russians have done after the collapse of the Soviet Union. You I know I've seen them. I don't know about you, Jen, or you, Dave, but I do know for a fact that there were a lot of Russian oligarchs that became rich overnight because they took over a pipeline or a petroleum field or even a pharmacy or um something that would make them rich. That
Right.
is why Putin came to power in 1999 with the help of Russian oligarchs who had in their control all of the Russian reserves of petroleum. He took care
Wow.
of them after that. Yeah, I know.
What's really weird about that? Okay, and this leads me into something you told me I forgot. But okay, back to a Disney movie again because I swear they take a lot of their I think all of Hollywood takes a lot of their songs, lines, stories from history because it's a little bit of um truth to a little bit to every lie that makes it a little bit truth is just a little piece of it. Well, they have the song at the beginning of Aladdin, which is out of the Middle East. He's like what an Egyptian prince that flies on a magic carpet. And Jasmine is the princess in this movie. And it starts out with singing about them, and they call the Romanians liars, gypsies, and thieves. Well, I'm calling them Romanians because I think that's where they're at, right? Romania, there. They're kind of in a desert. I don't know where that is, but it's in southeastern Europe. And the song says liars, gypsies, and thieves. So, how weird because all those things you just told me is actually describing what the rest of the Western world is doing to these poor people, taking their ideas. And they're calling the Romanians gypsies? Why? Why would they do
Okay.
that?
All right. Here's the thing. That's a very good question, Jen, and it's one of those intricate social issues that we have been having to deal with ever since the collapse of communism.
Right.
I'm going to give the Americans a small, short history about the gypsies in Romania. At the time of Ceausescu being put to the wall in December of 1989, Romania is the most populous country in the entire European continent with gypsies. We had 4 million gypsies registered in Romania by 1989, beginning of 1990.
Wow.
Now, gypsies, where do they come from? Originally, they come from northern India. They were brought into Eastern Europe by Mongols, by Arabs, by Ottoman Turks as slaves. Yeah, believe it or not serfs,
Wow.
slaves. They tested some of the historical texts mention the gypsies for the very first time around the year 600 or 700 Anno Domini. That they originally came from northern India. And northern India, what do I mean by northern India? I mean Kashmir, Punjab, um, very close to Pakistan. So in that area right there, very close to China as well. Now, they have lived in Eastern Europe and especially in Romania since about the year 1100, 1200. They were not that many in numbers, but they multiplied throughout the course of centuries. The Gypsies, as a matter of fact, had one of the highest birth rate in Eastern Europe starting around the year 1100 Anno Domini. Now, the gypsies, they differentiate themselves among themselves as well. There are three types of gypsies out there. One is the nomads, and the nomads, everybody knows, they go from country to country. They were allowed to leave the countries of communism at any time because nobody wanted them.
Um,
The nomads were the dirtiest. Second, you have the gypsies that live in clans. They have their own rules, they have their own laws, and if you do business with them, you're gonna have to be very careful. They rule themselves by the law of the knife or the knife rule. Yeah, they always
wow.
carry daggers or knives with them. And then there's the third one, Romanianized, Russified, Americanized, Anglicanized, Bulgarianized, Germanized. People who actually abide by the laws and regulations of the state that they live in.
Wow.
Yes, I had a lot of friends who said, I am a gypsy, but I am a Romanian gypsy and I don't care about the clans and I don't care about the nomads. I'm like, okay, fine, no problem. So we accepted them. But their way of life, the way they were a little bit a little bit advanced in comparison to the local population. What do I mean by that? For the most part, because most of their life they were either slaves or because they were persecuted for such a long time. Hitler killed a lot of them too.
Not just
The
Jews.
Jews, come again.
Not just Jews. He went after
He
Hitler was
also went
ruthless.
after the gypsies because in the eugenics book, they consider gypsies to be Untermenschen or subhuman, just like the Jews.
Not the
You know,
Third
they were
Reich.
dirty, they were whatever, all that kind of stuff. So they had to make sure that they get rid of them. Yeah, it's estimated that very close to 1 million gypsies were killed at Auschwitz. Now, after the abdication of the king in 1947, the
Mm.
status of the gypsies in the communist Romania was about to change. Not drastically, but to a certain degree, they were having more human rights than the local population. They were allowed to have their own music. Yes, gypsies have a very specific type of music. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't. But, I used to listen to the gypsy music once in a
Right.
while, it's no problem there. Me, I'm not much of a distasteful to their music. I like it. it kind of resembles, a little bit of Arabic, a little bit of Indian, from India,
Right.
um, that kind of sort of thing. They use the cymbal a lot, accordion, and trust me, they do have some beautiful repertoires. But
Belly dancers.
what's that?
Belly dancers. I
Mm,
thought those
no,
are just India. Okay.
no, 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 not ballet dancers. Gypsies are not ballet dancers.
No, not
They don't.
ballet. They're not ballet. I'm talking
No,
belly.
they're not.
Belly.
The what?
Belly. They wear
Oh,
half
belly
shirts. They
dancing.
show
Yeah,
their
belly dancing
stomach.
is
They have
something. Yeah,
little
belly dancing. Yeah, they do.
fingers.
Gypsy girls like to do that stuff too. It's for
Yeah.
money mostly.
Right.
Gypsies are also very good artifacts people. They do a lot of art, and they usually do art from basically everything, wood, but mostly precious metals, gold and silver. They're masters in it. When we were talking about the black market in Romania, or communism in Romania, we
Right.
always knew who the black market is. And those were the gypsies. They were controlling it.
Ooh.
They were basically the number one entity when it came to black market enterprise.
Wow.
Whenever you had tourists come to Romania, the only way they were able to get certain things was from the black market.
Oh
And
wow.
people were telling them, I'm going to put you in contact with some people, but you're going to need an escort. You don't want to go there by yourself because maybe they have double minds and they're going to rob you cold. Yeah, you have to be very careful when you do business with the gypsies, especially in the black market.
Wow.
You needed to have an escort. You had to make sure you watched your back because the
Wow.
gypsies, as good as they think they are, they're also bad mothers. They will trick you. As a matter of fact, one of the social games, you know, with the pea, you put a pea underneath a cup and you have three cups there, right?
No.
And you rotate those cups around and you have to find out the pea that's underneath the cup. That social game, they brought it with themselves in front of the Buckingham Palace in London. In one day, they made £500,000 sterling with that social game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was. They're even asking Guinness World Records to put that into their book for making that kind of a record. Yeah, by the time the police finally figured out what the hell was going on, these guys were already super rich. In Romania, after the collapse of communism, the gypsies came up together with a very large sum of money
Right.
in order to buy one of the most popular and one of the most bestest restaurant taverns in Bucharest, the
Which was
Manuk, the
capital
Manuk
of.
Manor. Yeah, in the
Okay.
capital of Romania, Bucharest, the Manuk Manor. Manuk Manor is one of the largest taverns in Romania. It dates back 1700s, and it was very exquisite. It was under the control of the state. It was not open to public up until the revolution was over. It was finally open to the public. As a matter of fact, that's where I had my party before I left the country.
Oh wow.
Ma- yeah, Manuk Manor was wanted by the gypsies. They wanted to buy it so they can have it under their futuristic capitalistic ways. They offered the Romanian government 500 million Romanian money,
Oh
which
my.
at the time probably would come close to maybe $1 billion. Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of money. You're asking yourself, where the hell do they have this kind of cash? Well, what did I just tell you? They were very good artifacts, guys. They had a
Mm,
lot of jewelry. They made basically a lot of things. They had controlled the black market. So they had money. They were selling sunflower seeds. Yeah, they're women. You'll see them in corners of the streets selling chewing gum, like Bazooka Joe chewing gum,
right.
and sunflower seeds or even pumpkin seeds. They were selling
Wow.
them for um, 2, 3 Romanian money, for a fist of seeds.
Wow.
You're
They
making
knew
a lot
how.
of money out of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they
You
did.
didn't even need a license for it in communism. It was illegal, but the cops would never, arrest them or anything like that. It just allowed them to have it. Because remember, I said that under communism, gypsies had more rights than the locals, like Romanians, Serbs, Hungarians, Germans,
Yeah.
Ukrainians, whatever.
Wow.
Gypsies were allowed to get into sports, to get into the music business. They became also police officers. Oh, yeah. It was not an uncommon thing to see a cop who was of gypsy descent. One conceptual fact, and very contrary to the tradition,
Hmm.
you would not find a lot of gypsies in the Romanian army.
Oh,
And in Romania of the 1980s,
right.
military was compulsory. Everybody had to do it. A lot of the gypsies opted not to go into the military. What was the point for them? I mean, they were going to say, well, you have to defend the country. Really? We
What
live in
country?
this
Who
country, but
cares?
this is
Yeah.
not our country. That's the way
Wow.
they had it. So a lot of them were exempt. Some of them joined. Yeah, I do remember a few guys who were in my neighborhood. They were gypsy kids. They went
Wow.
into the military. I asked them, I was like, really? Wow, that's amazing. They were actually told that possible. Wow.
That's
Mm.
amazing. Did they have their own schools? Did the gypsies have their own
No,
private? Like,
no. They would
they would
come
go
in
to.
all public schools. I had them in my school. I had to um, exmatriculate. That means I had to kick them out of my school because they were bad.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
oh, okay. Now here's the thing. Yeah, because some people were asking me, "Hey, Bob, did sexual harassment exist in Romania in communism?" And my answer was no. What the hell are you talking about? Okay, let me put it this way. So I had this school was under my complete control, but in order to be in complete control, you got to have your own eyes and ears. So you know exactly what's going on, who's doing the bad things, who's answering back to the teachers, who's not following the rules. And for the most part, a lot of these bad boys, gypsies. Now,
Mm.
they were also grabbing girls' butts, put their hands underneath their skirts. Yeah, it's very embarrassing. And of course, they got slapped in the face. They got whatever, they got written up. And obviously, when they showed up in my office, I was like, what you guys do? I cropped this girl. I was like, oh, you cropped the girl. Okay, you're going to be out of here at the end of this semester or probably sooner than that. That's not a crime. I don't care. You don't do that kind of shit in my school. They also answer back to teachers. Not a very good thing to do. I mean, even I, in my position that I had, I still wouldn't answer back unless, I really wanted to be an
Right.
impertinent punk
Right.
because the position that I had. But yeah, they were doing a lot of bad things. Now, they weren't doing graffiti. Graffiti was not existent in Romania.
Wow.
Yeah, believe it or not, graffiti wouldn't come to Romania till possibly after 1994. They saw it in the United States, 90210 Beverly Hills. They saw
Oh
some of the
my
graffiti on the
gosh.
walls. They decided to do that too. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, right now graffiti is very open. They got a lot of gangs, that kind of sort of thing. But gypsies were the first ones to actually bring it up. The gypsies are also responsible for bringing rap into Romania.
Really? Oh my
Yes,
God.
as a matter of fact, the number one rap group in Romania, Bucharest Underground Mafia. A lot of people say they're not gypsies in their origins, but they are. As much as they don't want to be recognized, they are. The language. Here's the thing. Because in my country in the 1970s and 80s during communism, vulgar language was punishable with fines, with spanking, with beating the hell out of you.
Wow.
As a teenager or even as a kid, as a pioneer, as a student, you were not allowed to say the F word, the D word, the P word, the S word, the whatever word you can think of that's vulgar. No. You say that in public, you get in trouble. Guess who was using those words?
Gypsies?
The gypsies. Oh yeah. And
All
you
those
hear
bad
some
people.
cursing and swearing in Romanian that the gypsies have come up with that you would never even think about. I'm
Oh
not
my
going to give you an example because they're
That's okay.
extremely horrible.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
I heard them and I asked my dad, what the hell did she mean by that? I mean, it's Romanian, but what the hell does she mean by that? And my dad goes, you don't want to know.
oh
They're
wow.
gypsies. They're uneducated. We had to stay away from them, from that kind of part,
Right.
that,
Okay,
that kind of perspective.
let's
Go
go
ahead.
back to the school system now. Do you recall in Romania them introducing around 1990 Common Core? That's when Barack Obama introduced it to America. And I don't know if it was around before that, but it was also called standardized testing. And what they did is they took away the school board. I mean, it was like there were no more PTA meetings, there was no more parent teacher associations. No, I mean, they would have parent teacher conferences to talk about how your student's doing in school, but there was no centralized school board for the community. They called it now the SBAC, and it was an acronym for something, but no one knew what. So I gave it my own thing, calling it some bureaucrats and czars, because that is when Barack Obama introduced the new term from Russia, which is very communist. Even though the Cold War was over, he's put everyone who was the head of transportation, who was, we call them secretaries, the transportation secretary, the secretary of state, he called them czars. He said the education czar, and it was weird. It was just totally introducing little flavors of communism here and there. And all of the children's tests or all the children's schoolwork was taken digitally and sent to Amsterdam. And it was sent to this place called the SBAC. And they said, oh, no, it just means standardized testing. And I'm like, all those letters, and you can't come up with a good acronym for it. So no one really knows what SBAC stands for, but they'll tell you, oh, that's standardized testing. We always had standardized testing. Did they try to talk about being hoodwinked? Did they do that to you guys in Romania? Do you recall that?
Okay, so here's the thing. What you're talking about here in the United States and claiming that Obama said that they took it from the Russians, that they're communists. No, Russia has not been
Ah,
communist since 1991. But here's the thing. Standardization of the tests, of the examinations. I had it in the United States in high school. It was called the CTBS test. And that one was taken over was taking 3 days to do it. And it was everything. They wanted to know whatever knowledge we had. It was English, math, history. There was a little bit of geography, chemistry, physics. A little bit of science, biology, that kind of stuff. Standardization of examination standardization in Romania, yes, was taking place in communism. And that would take place at the end of the 12th grade. I never got the chance to do that because when I left Romania, I left in when I was in 10th grade. But my older brother did, God rest his soul, and he told me, Robert, it was general knowledge for all those 12 years that you've been in school from first grade to 12th grade. And it composed of an entire week. So they had it for 7 days examination. Every day you would be doing at least two different subjects or whatever. You had to go through Romanian grammar and Romanian literature. Then the next day would be geometry and algebra. And then the next day would be history and geography. And the next day would be physics and chemistry. And then the next day would be botany and zoology. And then the next day would be whatever we had. So they would test you on all of these. And at the end of the 7 day examination, it would take them about 2-3 months, depending on how fast they were going to correct the examinations. They say, okay, you have high aptitudes. I mean, for certain things, you don't have any aptitudes for a lot of things because you scored a little bit too low in comparison to whatever else. I mean, for example, me, if I was going to take this standardization test, or examination, I knew for a fact that I was going to fail math and I was going to ace geography. You know what I mean?
Right.
I probably would have been done quite okay in botany, zoology, and that kind of sort of thing, but I know I would have sucked in physics.
Mm.
Do you know why? Because I had no interest in that. I mean, the Newtons and bullshit. I mean, are you kidding me? No, I don't want to deal, with World War II. I want to deal with the Battle of Agincourt or the Battle of Leipzig, and all that kind of stuff. To me, that much is much easier. I don't want to have to
Right.
deal, with molecular physics and stuff like that. That's too hard for my head. Not gonna can get into my stuff right there. But we had it. We had that education. In the United States, you're talking about Common Core. Now, Common Core came up in the 2010, 2011. Prior to that, you still had the same type of educational system that I have experienced when I came to Hollywood High in California, uh, 34 years ago.
Right.
Very common, every day, 6 periods, the same stuff for this semester. Then you get to choose your classes for next semester and that kind of sort of thing. Plain and simple. It's not that hard. You are going to be able to graduate. You're going to get yourself a diploma. Yeah, some morons decided not to do it. There was a lot of dropouts. There was whatever. Then they said, how come, the United States has got a very low percentage of educated kids, or, around the world? Like you look at the Japanese, you look at the Chinese, the Romanians, the Russians, the Armenians, and so forth and so forth. Well, obviously, like I said before, and I'm going to say it again, it all starts from the very beginning of the educational system, the curriculum that you have inside the public schools. What you have in private schools is totally different, because in private schools they teach you whatever is they find necessary and whatever the parents are paying for. See, we didn't have to pay for our education back home, and it was mandatory for us to know the molecular physics of copper, or the molecular configuration of aluminum, the mass, and all that kind of stuff. We had to learn that. It was mandatory, because you never know. You might become a geologist or a whatever.
Right.
But in the United States, yeah, there is interest for this, there is interest for that. I mean, I met a lot of people who say, I was like, oh, I was for the most part in a wood shop or in the mechanical shop, or I was in the cooking, I was in the computers, or I was basically very good at math or physics, that kind of stuff. No,
Right.
you have the same curriculum for about, I don't know, 40 years. Then they decided to change it in 2005. And this is not Obama here. This is, what's his name?
Bush.
Junior. Bush Jr., yeah. But it wasn't Bush, it was the Secretary of the Education. He decided to bring in something that we already had in communism about 20 years prior. You know what that was?
What?
It was a policy called No Child Left Behind,
Oh,
which I described it in my book, the way it was in socialism. Now,
wow.
when I found out, 2005, they come up with this shit now? Are you kidding me? Well, apparently, yes, they did. They were trying to make sure that nobody in the United States is going to be left behind. In other words, repeating the grade or repeating a course, and stuff like that. They wanted to make sure that everybody is going to pass.
Wow.
That didn't work.
No, because then they're paying
The
the
only
teachers. Yeah.
There you go. You got it. You got it, baby. That's called corruption.
That was
Because it
frustrating.
happened in my country. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I described it in my book. Yeah, No Child Left Behind. But that was in junior high. Because
Wow.
when I went to high school and there was a possibility of something like that to happen again, I asked the teacher, wait a minute. What about the No Child Left Behind policy? She said, and I quote her, that only applies to junior high, first grade to eighth grade. In high school, you are going to repeat the grade if you do not pass one or two subjects.
Wow.
If you do not pass one subject, you're a corrigent, and you're going to have to take an examination in the summer to see if you can actually make it to the next level. Yeah, I was in danger of failing math. It's in the book. I passed it. There was no problem. I didn't have to take the examination during the summer. But if you were failing two subjects, your history. Ninth
Wow.
grade, you're going to repeat it again. And here was the thing, because I asked the teacher, I was like, well, wait a minute here. In junior high, we had to deal with this situation, and parents were paying money under the table so their children, who were morons, could not study or did not have the capability of putting the brain together. They were
Right.
getting paid, they were paying the teachers, the system, the directors, and everything like that, so their children would pass into the next grade, from fifth grade to sixth, from sixth to seven, and so on and so on. But in high school, I asked her, I was like, you're not going to have this kind of thing? Well, guess what? I'm going to tell these people right here in this classroom, you guys are not going to pass. You're going to repeat the grade. But do you know on whose shoulders this responsibility is going to fall on? And everybody was quiet like in a church. And I said, this burden is going to fall on the head of the guy who came up with the policy. And guess who that was, Jen?
The head.
Ceausescu.
Oh, Nikolai. I can't
Yes.
say his name.
Yeah, Ceausescu wanted to
Oh my gosh.
no child leave behind, but in high school, yeah, let him be. Guess what? It came and it beat its own butt because in high school, parents said, okay, I made sure that my kid passed, from fifth grade to sixth grade. I paid a lot amount of money, for that. What's the point for me to do it in high school? Because once you pass eighth grade,
Right.
a lot of gypsies didn't give a damn about high school and they went straight into the work industry.
Mm,
Yeah, they did not need to go to high school. They said, okay, I already completed eighth grade. I took my examination. I failed. Who cares about high school, right? No child left behind. Who cares about that? Gypsies didn't give a damn about it. But a lot of Romanian kids, yeah, they did. They cared about it because they wanted to advance.
right.
So Ceausescu got his own butt beaten because of his own policy.
Man. Okay, let's
And
go
a lot
even.
of people were left behind. And now he's wondering, why is this happening when education is the number one priority for these people? Well,
Right.
excuse you. Go ahead.
Okay, before he was taken down, this is pre 1989, they had orphanages. Now they don't do that anymore. They put children in, not like it's a good plan, but the orphanages were bad because they were neglected and they starved. 300,000 Romanian children died in Nikolai's orphanages because
Mm-hmm.
starvation and neglect. Okay, so is that was that his protection against child trafficking and human trafficking? You said it didn't exist then. How did
Okay.
this happen? How did that not exist? That is a
Let
blessing
me.
in disguise, but these orphanages are horrible. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me put it this way. In communism,
Hmm.
the only human trafficking that was taking place in communism was with criminals and political dissidents.
Hmm.
But most of these people were thrown in jails and they were forced to hard labor. They were either sent throughout the country at some of the most incredibly hardest positions that they had to do, like breaking rock. You remember Sylvester Stallone in Rambo Part 2? He
Yeah.
was sent to a career, to break up, stone.
Right.
A lot of these guys were sent there as well. If they were not needed there, guess where they would wind up? In the Russian gulags.
Gulag. Oh
So that's
gosh.
the only human trafficking that you can possibly think of. Now, as far as the children being abandoned to state orphanages, there is no way you can tell me that there was human trafficking or child trafficking. No, there wasn't. Yes, they did starve, they did die, malnutrition, that kind of sort of thing. There was a lot of gypsies who repudiated their own children. They didn't want them, and they put them for the state to take care of them. There was no child trafficking there because if there was, obviously the state would be responsible for it. And in communism, there was a law that came from Lenin. And Lenin stated, everyone is created equal, no matter what the color of their skin.
Wow.
Human trafficking is not allowed under the auspices of Bolshevism. So communists never accepted the idea of human trafficking or child trafficking. It did not exist. It's
Okay.
100%.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let's go. Did they have sex education? Did the kids even know? Because it seems like they were immune to this, which is a blessing in disguise. Did they know what was going on? Was there sex education? What did the health classes
Okay.
teach?
It's a very good thing you brought that up. I did mention something minor in my book about sex education, and here's the following. And I want everybody to keep in mind what I say here. In Romania's communism years, if you were not 18 years old and if you were not female, you would not get any type of sex education until you turned 18. Now, the girls, because of their growth, a lot faster than the boys at certain ages, and we're talking about what? Maybe 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and depending on the body of the person, all right? We're talking
Right.
about the period, right? I'm
Right.
going to call it that way because I don't have any other terms to use, right? So
Cycle. Cycle.
the
Feminine
girls
cycle. Right.
the girls would get a little bit of an information from their mothers. And
Mm-hmm.
if the mother is not there, the father is. And the father is obligated to do that because the girl doesn't know what the hell is going on. She's a child, right? She needs
Right.
to know something. Something's happening to her body. Boys, unless you were gypsy, and we're going to leave the gypsies aside at this subject because the gypsies were very well versed
They have their own
in a
thing.
sex education that we did
Right.
not have. Oh,
Right.
yeah, they knew all about it. Now, the regular population, children, depending on the ages and depending on their mentality,
Mm-hmm.
of course, they would hear things from their gypsy counterparts or from other people around them, like older adults. I mean, some
Right.
people would hear, I was like, man, I heard my older brother saying that he had something to do with his girlfriend in bed or whatever. What the hell is he talking about? Apparently, none of us knew what the hell that meant, you know what I mean? Because we were novices. Now,
Right.
there was curiosity about the opposite sex, boys on girls, girls on boys. Yes, that was very common among kids. I mean, of course, here in the United States, I heard they said that they were playing doctor. Yeah, we had that too back home. We also had a sort of socializing thing among ourselves, of course, when we were alone because we did not want the adults to find out. And it was called I show you mine, you show me yours, that kind of sort of thing. And it goes from there. But obviously, we got to make sure that we're not going to tell our parents because we're going to get our butts whooped. Yeah, it was considered taboo for us. Now, in schooling, you would get some sort of a sex education in anatomy. But let me put it this way, it was not graphic. They would not show a vagina, they would not show a penis. No, you don't do that. Especially if you were doing dissection on an animal, you would do a dissection on an animal that you won't show, their particular sexual organs. For example, like a cat, a pig, a frog, that kind of sort of thing. Not snakes,
Wow.
because we didn't do snakes,
There's
but I'm
not
just
much. Yeah.
saying. So they had to make sure you would get some sort of education, like for the respiratory system, the digestive system, the reproductive system, but they weren't too graphic about it. So you're still a moron. You know what I mean? I mean, they're talking about, hey, man, they're talking about this and they're talking about that, but what the hell does it look like? They don't show much. You know what I mean? So then
Right.
kids, get to that point. If they get caught by their parents, they get an ass whooping. If they don't get caught, they got away with murder, basically. Depending on whose sides of the aisle you happen to be, we would like to consider ourselves either lucky or, I'm sorry, it didn't happen. With me,
Look the
yeah, it
other
did
way.
happen. Yeah, I had a few adventures like that. I'm not gonna get into that, but I tell you, as far as sex education, you had to be 18 years old in order to get it. Now, was there anything like we have here in the United States in 2024. And I'm going to tell you very, very much simple. In the communist years of Romania, there were gays, there were homosexuals among men. Yes, they were. I don't know them personally, but I heard and I know that a lot of people were talking about it, that they do exist.
Mm.
Lesbianism, it was non existent. Lesbianism would not appear in Romania till the mid 1990s. Uh,
That we
Transgenderism,
know of.
yes, it's coming up right now. Transgenderism is a big part, same way as they have it here in the United States. They're talking about it in our schools in Romania today. Queers and all that kind of stuff, yes, they do exist. They are very much persecuted. Yes, the LGBTQ community in Romania today, even though Brussels, who's the capital of Belgium and is actually the capital of the European Union, they're telling the Romanians that they have to accept it. And Romanians say, okay, you force us to accept it. Guess what? We're going to give you the finger, first of all, and we're going to do whatever we want with these guys if we catch them on our ways, if we cross paths with them. First of all, after the collapse of communism, the gays were beaten to a pulp, some of them even killed. Yeah, in Romania.
Oh boy.
When they found out that lesbianism has caught on by the year 2000, the percentage of lesbianism among female um, personnel was 9% out of the entire country. It was pretty high considering. Today, it's probably even a little bit higher. At a population of 16 million, they say that there's at least about 15% of the population among females that are lesbians. Um, they're not beaten up to a pulp, but they are persecuted. They are humiliated by the straight people, that kind of sort of thing. Gays, they're still beaten up. If you even think about the fact that you actually say, I was born a boy, but I want to be a girl, you're going to get your ass whooped. Guaranteed. Oh, no, there ain't no doubt about that. You're going to get your ass whooped. Transgender, they don't even want to think about it. The majority of the population do not think that that's something
Right.
clean in the
It's
head.
not.
It's called a mentality. You must be debilis
Mental
mentalis when it comes to that.
mental illness. Mental illness is what they're saying.
Gypsies usually like to content themselves to be straightforward. They're straight people for the most part. Don't get me wrong. You will find maybe a few gypsies that are gay and lesbians. I don't know about them thinking about being transgenders. That's the way they were born. That's the way they're gonna go. But for them, it's a money making thing.
Oh
Yes.
wow.
Even in communist times, gypsies were using their own kids as tools for sex to make money.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
they pull them out of their schools and they gonna do prostitution. Oh yeah, they make sure that their daughters are no longer virgin by certain ages. In communism, it was considered rape under the age of 14. After the communism collapsed, frankly speaking, unless a child is complaining about that kind of sort of thing, then it's rape. But for the most part, among the gypsies, no, that did not exist. So gypsies were doing that just to make sure that their daughters would know anything about it in order to make money out of prostitution.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I
Uh, to
yes.
get back to you as far as the question of child trafficking or sex trafficking or human trafficking, these things have taken place in Romania after the collapse of communism.
After.
After, yeah. So after 1989, yes, we heard a lot of cases about stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I know that there were a lot of Romanian girls who were bribed to leave the country and go to the West as nurses, as maids, as whatever, and then they were actually forced to do prostitution, just like in the movie Taken with Liam Neeson.
Right. So
Yes,
in some sick way, it's almost like communism, as bad as it is, protected people and children from the sex trafficking industry. And then you get freedom. And what do you get? Idiots who want to make money off sex trafficking humans and yuck. It's just
correct.
bad.
Yes.
But there's
See,
only, yeah, go ahead.
capitalism, the idea of capitalism has brought the lowest mind of criminals or even politicians to come to the conclusion saying, you know what, we couldn't do that under communism, let's do it now, it's more profitable right now, who's going to catch us?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
if you piss off some people, you're going to be caught eventually, you know what I mean? But for the most part, they're denying that it's happening. Oh yeah, they are denying it, a lot of politicians. Cops are bribed, so there is a lot of corruption going on. Then you have, these guys with money. And when I'm talking about guys with money, I'm talking about guys that are multimillionaires. They come into the country and they say, I want to have a 15-year-old girl tonight. It sounds sick, right? Yes, it is. But they pay a lot of money so they can have prostitution among that age. And it's sick, and you complain, but nobody does anything about it. Sex today in Romania, as a matter of fact, after 1995, has become a major um, money maker, and at the same time, it turned out a very conservative society into a very open, liberal-minded society. Kids as young as 12 are having intercourse. Whatever mama is wearing, the daughter is wearing. So if mama is wearing a G string, a 12-year-old girl has to wear a G string. Can you believe that?
That's
I
crazy.
did not
No,
want to
I
believe it up until I heard it or even saw it. And it's a little bit outrageous, but that's the way it is. Freedom and democracy in Eastern Europe has brought all those former communist countries to a moral and social collapse. It has been a
wow.
disaster. Yes.
I just have one
Now,
last oh, go ahead. After you're done,
it
I have
was
one
it
last
was their
question.
choice. I mean, I did not envision these things when I thought about bringing, the government down, through the revolution. I was not envisioning these kind of things. But
Hmm.
somebody else took over and they had decided to screw around, and they allowed them to have it. They wanted to have rap music. They wanted to have what they saw on Beverly Hills 90210, on TV. They wanted to have topless beaches. They wanted to have nude beaches all over. Like I said, hey, whatever mama's wearing, the girl's gotta be wearing, If mama's having sex, why can't the daughter at 12, 13, whatever, can do that? You know what I mean? So they had basically killed it. The education system, what it once was the top priority, now it's a top priority only among private schoolers, people who are paying heavy money so their children can have a very good education. Now, as far as the
Right.
cream of the society, the lower classes, they can't afford that. So they go to a public school and they get shit as far as education. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still learning about physics and chemistry just like I did, but it's not put the same heart into it as it was during communism. Totally different.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Okay. And this is the last question.
go ahead.
Um, Looking at the Reformation in Free Romania now in 2024, do you think that communism could creep up again? Or do you think they're strong enough to fight it and just continue to be inventors and be free?
Okay.
But it's scary now that you talked about being free and the freedoms people have now that they're not controlled by the government. It can be scary. I don't want to be it. There is a fine line. How do you balance it? Do you think that communism could creep up, or will they stay free?
Okay. That's a very good question. But here's the thing, you have to look at the history of Romania between 1859 and
Right.
2024, right? So I'm going to give you a small, brief history. They had a ruler for about 7 years. He tried to do reforms from all aspects. He introduced compulsory education, that kind of sort of stuff. It was a good thing. Boom. The boyars or the aristocracy dethroned him. They didn't like him much because he gave a lot of land to the peasants. So they brought in a foreign prince to rule. That guy ruled the country for 48 years. He was a prince and then became a king. Also, education was very compulsory. Everything was fine. So they had monarchy. After monarchy, they had communism for 43 years.
Hmm.
After communism, they have democracy. You're going to ask yourself, what's going to be next? Well, next in line, we're either going to have in Romania a populist government. And when I say populist, something like Donald J. Trump. And the Romanians do have a candidate right now for presidency in Romania. It's a woman. She is the Donald Trump of Romania today. Diana
Okay.
Șoșoacă, that's her name.
Wow.
And she's talking reality. She's telling the truth. She wants everything to be reformed to the way it was, for a better education, for better morals, for better whatever. But as long as they're going to be part of the European Union, that's never going to happen.
Wow.
You may gonna have, and for example, there is one straight good example out of the entire European continent, and we're leaving Russia aside, Belarus, Ukraine aside. No, there's only one country in Europe today that is kind of rebelling against the European Union and even NATO. You know who that is? It's not Romania, but its next door neighbors, Hungary. Their
Oh,
prime minister, Viktor Orban, he's telling the truth. As much as I despise the son of a bitch,
right.
I agree with him. Yeah, I don't like him. He's
Why?
Hungarian. Well, Romanians, Hungarians don't
Oh,
get along. That's my thing right there. But
okay.
I agree with him from everything that he's saying. I mean, this guy said Trump better be back in power because I cannot deal with this moron that is in the White House right now.
I
I mean,
remember
this guy
that.
is telling plain simple the truth right there. And he's
Right.
from Europe and he's from a small country.
Yeah.
That country is surrounded. It's a landlocked country, and this guy has the clout. Now, there is also the president of Poland that has been making some sort of
CC.
rebellious comments like Anders Duda. And
Oh,
then you had that guy who got shot, Robert Fico, in Slovakia. And now they're also thinking about the guy in Montenegro or the guy in Serbia. Well, Serbia is not part of the EU, it's not part of NATO and anything like that. But there are some voices that make themselves heard. And Viktor Orban is the number one in Europe after Putin. Dave was asking me about the Ukrainian situation. Now, before we're going to get into the Ukrainian situation, Dave, I want to finish up on the questions to make sure that everybody gets my 5 cent conclusion
Okay.
on this
All
when it
right.
comes to education.
I just want to cut back to Robin Brunson asked earlier if gypsies were only allowed to marry
Gypsies
The
were
what?
what?
when Hitler
Robin,
locked all
go
the
ahead.
Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto. They were only allowed to marry within within
Oh,
the Jewish race and within the ghetto. Were gypsies? I know it's further back in the program, but at that time, were gypsies only allowed to mingle and marry within gypsies, or could anybody in Romania marry a gypsy and have a mixed family?
Yes. Uh, in the communist times of Romania, gypsies were allowed to intermingle with other ethnic groups. And there were a lot of Romanians who were dating and marrying gypsy girls and vice versa. As a matter of fact, my junior high sweetheart, she was of gypsy descent. She didn't look it much, but she had a little bit of a resemblance to them. Well, I liked her, I loved her. So I was dating her. There was a very good possibility maybe I was going to marry her if the destiny would not keep us apart, you know. But yes, gypsies were allowed to intermingle with other ethnicities in Romania, in communism Romania. Now, as far as going back to the 1930s and 40s, gypsies in Germany were very much persecuted, just like the Hebrews, just like the Jews.
mhm.
Um, they had the Nuremberg laws of 1936, where they stated that whoever is going to marry a Jewish or even a gypsy person, they will be severely punished. If an Aryan person, a German person, would marry one of these, they will be severely punished. The result of these marriages, a German with a Jew or a German with a gypsy, would translate itself into a Mishling, and a Mishling would be a bastard.
Oh
They
dear.
would He would not be considered a legitimate child based on the laws of Nuremberg of 1936. But in communism, that did not exist because, as I said before, and I'm going to say it again, Lenin did not consider race a problem in communism. In communism, all races were treated equally. Did not matter whether you're white, black, brown, red, yellow, Semitic, Hamitic, whatever you can think of.
Wow.
No. In communism, everybody is equal. It don't matter what kind of color skin you have. So gypsies were accepted as equal to everybody else in communism.
Awesome, but sad.
As far as my
But
5 cent conclusion, as far as education, you are correct about it when you say, Jen. Yeah, communism was, very strict, was very
right,
serious. There were no immoralities, to a certain extent. Once democracy comes in, democracy gets to the people's heads, and they're going to turn to do everything against the human nature, if you want to put it that way.
wow,
No more education, no more proper education is going to bring down a collapse of the entire society. And if I'm not mistaken, look at what's happening in the United States today.
right now.
We don't have to go any further than that. And I am embarrassed to say it, but is the true reality because it's also happening in my home country.
Oh,
If there are any more questions, I'm more than gladly happy to answer them. But this is my conclusion. When we had a very strong government, obviously it was an iron fist. I do not regret it, but there were certain things that I could not do. I mean, freedom of expression. I mean, come on, man. I want to say screw the government. Oh, you can't say that. Okay, fine. I'm going to take you to the battle. Let's see who's the bad mother right here. You know what I mean? I wanted to have more freedom of learning. They would not allow me. So, technically speaking, I was not allowed to read Orwell's 1984, even though I was living it. I wanted to visit other countries. No, they would not allow me. Okay, fine. We're going to get you guys one day to the battlefield. And that's what happened.
Mm.
It took place. But like I said, I did not envision all the BS that has been happening in Romania since 1990 up until now. No, I did not envision that kind of stuff. I mean, education to go low, and they're talking about accepting transgenderism and all that kind of stuff. No, I did not accept it. I was like, it did not even exist in my own vocabulary.
Right.
So
Wow.
even here in the United States, they say I have to accept it. Now they also have to tell me you cannot say certain things in English. Well, excusez-moi. I mean, I learned English so I can make myself understood. Now you're not going to allow me to say it in proper English? That's BS, Momo. What the hell is wrong with you? Well,
That's right.
you're going to have to accept it. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to accept it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, this is not even in our list of questions. This is just my own theory. And I want to know what you think about this. I think this is the final nail in the coffin of every nation before the whole world goes to pot. I feel like the last thing that we have to fight against is Sharia law. I feel like the Muslims will want to take over everything. And they have two things that they're using against us very well. Besides their religion, it's that stupid
Ilhan
taqiyya.
Omar, and what's the other reason?
Yeah, Talib. Yeah, and they're lying. They lie through their teeth, but they're allowed to if it protects Islam, and that's called the what is it? Taqi? It's not tequila. It's taqiyya. It's taqiyya. It's the Muslim lie, and I hate that. That's frustrating. But and then the thing we're most scared of them about is not that they're lying to us. It's that their book, the godforsaken Quran, says if you disagree with an infidel, you just strike them at the neck. You can say that on Facebook, but you cannot say chop their head off. I said, what did I say? I got such a.
No,
There's
you can say chop her head off on a live broadcast. You cannot say chop her head off, and
don't
you
type
can't
it
type
out.
it into a live chat. And the
No,
case
I
in
said
point is like I told everybody. I was on the American Rebellion one night. I was in the live chat, and
right.
I think I was on, but I typed into the live chat uh, Rashida Towelhead and
Oh, that's so
hit
bad.
return, and it came back. Do you really want to say that? So
Oh,
I decided, yeah, I really wanted to say it. I got kicked out of the Facebook, booted me out of the live chat for the rest of the program. You can't you can't say you can't type in Rashida Towelhead. But you can say Rashida Towelhead on a live broadcast, and
I know. You
they
can't.
really can't they really can't let it go. The original case in point, like I said, was a guy was doing a live broadcast and he was talking about how do we get rid of all of these people that have come here. This was like a year ago, just as people were starting to come in. And he said catapults. I think we should use catapults,
Catapult,
load
sling
them
them
up,
back.
and fire them back into Mexico. I typed I typed into the live chat catapults. I loved it. We definitely should use that. I got booted out of groups. I couldn't even get into my own groups for like
That's
two
so
weeks
violent.
because that was declaring war, inciting a riot, bodily harm, this, that, and the other thing. But Robert, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
No, he
Want
got
to do
he's
what you
Well,
do? Just
here's the
I'm
thing.
not, I'm not, I'm not
Here's
kicking,
the thing, guys.
I'm not kicking anybody away. I just want Robert to tell everybody how to get his book.
Okay, here's the thing.
yes.
I got put in a 30-day Facebook jail because I said instead of putting them to the wall, I'd rather go medieval on them and say that I want to impale them, like Vlad the Impaler.
Oh,
Yeah, he got put in jail for that one. I
wow.
also called Ayanna Presley a tranny, even though I meant to say tyrant. I call her a tranny, and I got put in Facebook jail for that one too. Then when I said Rashida Tlaib or Rashida Towelhead, I also got put in jail for that one. And I'm like, okay, fine, no problem. Once I get my hands on this Towelhead, only Allahu Akbar is going to stop me from doing what I've been planning to do for a very long time. But to answer your question, as far as Sharia law,
Yes.
well, you have to take in consideration whether the globalists are planning to impose Islam
Mm,
on top of the world, all over the world. That's a very good question. No, that's not going to happen.
okay.
The globalist idea of a one world, one government, one religion, one coin, it does not apply just to Islam. It also applies to Catholicism. And that is why they came up together with a religion that took effect on August 21st, 2022.
There's a new
And
religion.
that this is a new religion, yes, and this is the last religion that they're going to have as the only religion. So you don't have to worry about just Sharia. You're also going to have to worry about Catholicism. This new religion is called Chrislam. Yeah, a
Oh,
very interesting, intricate type of word. They're accepting all the Wahhabi Sunni Muslim ideology from Islam. They're also accepting everything that comes out of Jesuit order of the Catholic Church. They're going to accept everybody in this religion, and whatever religion you have will no longer be recognized. So if you're Lutheran, Protestant, Evangelical, Eastern Orthodox, Coptic, Hindu, Confucianist, Zoroastrianist, Baha'i, and so forth, they're no longer going to be recognized. Islam is going to be the only religion accepted by the 2030 UN agenda. Okay? This is extremely harsh. Yes, they're going to bring in some Sharia laws into Islam. You're going to have to worry about it. But when the right time it is for it, then they will come with it. Yes, maybe there will be a jihad or a holy war. Maybe there's going to be a civil war. Maybe there's going to be revolutions around the world. You never know. But the final solution, as far as a religion, will be Islam under the globalist order of the new world order. Yes, it is very hard. I mean, I'm not going to accept it. I already talked with a lot of Muslims, a lot of imams, and I told them, if you guys are lying to us and telling us that you're not planning to do this because Islam is a peaceful religion and everything like that, yes, there is no mention of the word sword in the Quran. No, there's none. I know that for a fact because I read the Quran in English. And there is no mention of it. They do mention Jesus under a different name. His name is Isa, ISA. That's his name. They talk about the Virgin Mary, his mother. They talk very nice about them. No problem there. The thing is, though, because you have representatives right now, because Islam has representatives right now in the United States Congress, and even prior to these two whores showed up, like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, Yeah, you had a guy named Barack Hussein Obama who accepted the Islamic organization of social welfare and all that kind of
Uh-huh.
BS to take roots in the United States. Now, let me put it this way: prior to Obama coming to power in 2009,
Yeah.
the Muslim population, based on the 2000 census, was a very low 7 million. That's all you had in the United States, 7 million Muslims. A considerable minority, if you think about it. They don't have a lot of political rights or the political seats or anything like that. That thing has changed the moment Obama came in power. Yeah, now you find a lot of Muslims having a lot of, being in the position of judges, clerks, chief of police, that kind of stuff in some major parts of
Okay.
the country, like Michigan, probably possibly even Illinois, California,
Minnesota.
Atlanta. Was that
Minnesota.
Minnesota? There you go. Now, I've spent time with Muslims. I talk with them a lot. The majority of them do not have the same mentality as the Muslim fundamentalists. They do talk about the necessity that they have to bring into the worlds that they come in contact with the word of Allah, the word
Mm.
of God, as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has said it. Now, I told him, I was like, look, so it is your duty to mention this to Christians, to Jews, to whoever is listening, right? Even Jehovah's Witnesses, if it comes to that. Yes. So you don't have the thing about, hey, man, look, if I'm going to tell you, I understand what you're saying, I respect what you're saying, but I'm not going to convert to Islam. Are you going to be pissed off about that? These guys told me no. We're not going to be pissed off. We're just telling you what we have been told over the centuries to say. But you also have the Muslim fundamentalists who it's either their way or the highway.
And they're
And that's
radicalized.
the
Those are radical.
radicalized ones. And that's where I have my jihad against. My
Oh,
holy war against Muslims is against the radical ones. I do not accept them. And I do not care whether Rashid Towelhead and Ilhan
Omar. Omar.
Omar,
Omar Talib. No, mixed
yeah,
up.
Ilhan Omar, I do not care if they say that we are supposed to implement Sharia law here. Yeah, you know what? I even talked to the Imam brothers in East Madison, in West Madison, and even Central Madison, and I told them, if you are planning to implement Sharia law on the Madison streets, be prepared from the local population to eradicate you. Because the majority of the people in Wisconsin are German. And Germans who are hardcore Christian, Protestants, and Catholics will never accept your Sharia laws on their own streets. You got to put it this way: out of 6 million Wisconsinites, at least 4 million are German by
Oh, they.
blood. Yeah, you're not going to be able to tell the Germans that they're going to say, hey, we have our own laws. You cannot come in here and dictate to us or whatever. No. In Wisconsin, it's very simple. You preach your religion, but you do not impose it. And you do not bring stupid laws like Sharia into our community.
My
Now,
God.
whether Rashida Tlaib wants to do that in Minnesota and the other whore in Michigan or wherever the hell she's coming from, That is up to the Michiganians and the Minnesotans to do something about it.
Right.
I don't mind helping them, but I can't do it alone. You know what I mean?
Right. That's good.
So you don't have to worry about Sharia law right now. But what you
That's
have to worry about is when Islam really is outspoken.
wow.
They don't speak it much about it right now. It just came into effect 2 years ago.
Amazing.
A lot of people are not aware of it. As a matter of fact, in my religion, the laws of universalism, some of the members discovered the place where the church mosque was built.
Oh,
Yes, there is such a place. Yeah,
a church mosque. It's
the
like
church mosque. Yeah, this was
oil and
actually
water.
built up.
How you gonna?
This was actually built up off the coast of Dubai, United Arab Emirates.
Mm,
These guys were actually going to Qatar for the 2022 World Cup, and they were going by boat. And as a matter of fact, they bumped into this island, which is off the coast of Dubai, and they got too close to it. And the Coast Guard over there, they had to tell them, you have to go away from here. This is a very restricted area. Now, why would it be this restricted area when Islam is actually open for everybody?
oh my gosh.
So, one of our Muslim brothers decided to investigate a little bit more. So, he actually got permission from one of the emirs of Dubai to actually visit this island. And he found the church mosque built over there.
Mm,
And he was shocked to see that they had Catholic writings on it along with Islamic writings. And
wow.
he came back and he reported this to our leadership. And he said, if this religion is for real, I see the end of the world coming very soon. These guys are planning to accept LGBTQ as membership. They're planning to accept anybody, agnostics, stoics, even atheists. I will not be living like that. And they also have Jesuit
Mm.
laws and Sharia laws.
Oh, that's scary.
The moment he said that, I said I was freaking right, what I said in my essay back in 2015. And he said, Bob, I don't know where the hell you got that information from, but you are 100% correct on that.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
I never told anybody how I got that information. I'm sorry, that's classified. But I tell you straight, plain and simple, that's exactly what they were planning to do. That's exactly what they're doing. And if things go that way, we are in deep boo boo
That's
because that one religion is Islam and they're going to impose it on us. And you being worried about Sharia law? Yeah, you will be, but not now. In the meantime, we're going to have to deal with the situation that we have here at home.
that's good.
In the United States, Sharia law is not yet recognized on any communities that I know of, even Islamic communities. But when it will be applied 100%, don't be surprised that there's going to be bloodshed.
That's true.
Okay.
Wow.
So I do have one question for David. For
Okay.
Dave.
I'm here.
I know on Friday something big was supposed to happen, and I'm still trying to figure out if they're still negotiating or they have made a decision. As far as my intel tells me, they're still negotiating, but I need to know if you guys have more information on it.
I
First
I
of
don't
all,
I don't I know what you're talking about. I don't have any more
The
information
24.
on it only because I was away for the weekend and
okay.
didn't follow it. I will get around with whoever I can find on it, but I would tend to believe that it is going. Uh, a lot of people seem to believe, and a lot of fact checkers on the internet claim that it was not legitimate. That that's what Biden was going to do. So it's kind of right now you got to kind of find a trusted news source and read up as much as you can,
I
which is
know
what we'll do.
somebody has posted on one of the groups, but I wanted to
Okay.
confirm it. I wanted to make sure that this is true. The House passed a bill that banned CBDC, the
They did.
central bank digital currency. Is that
Yes.
100%?
I it's 100% true,
Yes.
but what will happen is that in order for it to become a law, they would have to send it to the Senate, who would have to pass it that way, and then it would go on to President Biden. Unfortunately, the Senate being Democrats, I don't believe, or Democrat majority, I don't believe that they will pass that same thing. And the only reason I was hoping the House would pass it is that the Senate would pass it, and maybe ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, it would lead to the end of the Federal Reserve Bank. Because the Federal Reserve Bank, for those that don't know it, and I only know very little about it, is not a government bank. The Fed is collecting money, taxes, whatever, to pay themselves back. It's somehow they became intertwined in our banking. But if you watch and listen, the only place the Federal Reserve is recognized and has any authority is in Washington, D.C. The 12 banks that make up the Federal Reserve Bank operate under banking laws in those states, not by anything that the Fed is necessarily involved in. So it's still a complicated scratching the source, trying to find what
Okay,
I can
so
find, trying to find people that will that will talk to me and share what they know. But we can both look into it. You can look and see what you have, and I
I'm
can
still
see.
looking into it. I'm still trying to get some information about it. As far as I know, the House passed the bill
Yeah,
that they're not going to accept the CBDC, but it's still a
right.
chance to go into the Senate right now. I mean,
Well,
that's
it wouldn't. Well, it would because the next step is that it passes the House. It goes to the Senate. If the House bill goes to the Senate and gets passed the same way that it's not going to happen, then it would go on to the president. But because the Democratic majority of the House wants CBC to go in, CBDC to go into effect for people, then it's kind of mute that the House passes. But we are at a point. It's 10 minutes of 9. I do have to wrap up by
um,
in the next ten
okay.
minutes. But
I will.
you
I will also
you
try
you
to
will
find
go
out more
you
about
will
it, and
go
I was
you
also wondering about
right
the WHO mandates, but they're still
right.
negotiating from that
So
perspective.
so you
That's
will
good.
go and find what you can find. I will find what I can find, and once I see where we are in the next few days, we'll plan another you coming back and Jen coming back, or just a
Cool.
whole panel coming back, and our discussions that night will be that, and you can lead us through that discussion. I'm very
Thank you
Okay.
very
open.
much.
I'm very open to that. But so, Robert, where do people get your book? I know it's $45, and you had said that you don't set the price; the publisher sets the price. But
Yeah, the publishing company, they set the price of the book at $45. Um, they set the price back in 2020 when the book came up on May 5th. On the internet, on Amazon.com, you'll find the price set at about $36 or $37 and a few cents. They keep saying that there's only one book in store or whatever. They have them. Now, there is also another website where I found out by accident that my book is also sold not only just in the US, but also throughout the world. And it's called abebooks.com, abebooks.com.
Oh wow.
And they do have different prices over there depending on the condition of the book. I mean, a mint condition book would probably cost about $39 to $40. Me personally, when I make orders from the publishing company, I get about either from 10 to 15 to 30 copies, and I sell them to people who are interested in purchasing an autograph copy. So I autograph it. They pay me. Sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 45, sometimes it's $50. Usually, people want me to mail it to them within the United States. I charge them only $50. Trust me, I am not trying to make profit out of it. I mean, $5 is no big deal right there.
Right.
You sending me a check of $50 and I send you the book, so no worries right there. You will be able to get it in 5 days. I know Jen got hers in 5 days, even
Thank you.
though it was priority mail. The guy told me it was going to be 3 days shipping. Actually, it took 5 days, and it doesn't
Say wow.
surprise me at all. Yeah, that's the post office for everybody right there. But if people want to get them, a much cheaper price other than Amazon, abebooks.com, ABE books.
Right.
That's one of the sites where like I said, I just stumbled upon it by accident. And I also have some friends in Germany that said that they wanted to have a copy. And I told them, I was like, I'm going to send you the link, and it's the town of Engelberg or whatever it is in Germany. You guys can get it from there, but it's exclusivity in English. I don't know how good you guys are with English. But they said, oh, no, yeah, we understand English very, very good. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. So they can get it right there, that way. But like I said, also in the US, if you want an autograph copy, you'll have to contact me. And I got to tell you right now, I got 3 copies left out of my last batch of 12.
Awesome.
And I do have a person on the line planning to buy it. And guess who that is? My boss, the guy who just hired me today.
That's
Yeah, he
awesome.
said he's interested. Actually, his wife is interested because she likes to read that.
So
But yeah,
so if you're interested in Robert's book, your best bet is to reach him on his Facebook profile. If you have access to that, you can do that. If you have Facebook Messenger, you can probably contact him on Messenger if you're not a Facebook member, and we'll go from there. And then, like I said, everybody will go to their corners after the broadcast tonight and look up things that we need to look up. And then the 3 of us can talk during the week. And next Tuesday or Thursday, we'll do an open broadcast where we just invite a panel. And Robert, you can lead us through. You can lead us through the.
Thank you.
I look
panel
forward to it.
discussion.
There's no doubt about that. I look forward to it. I can help you guys with anything that you guys
Jen
need
can
on the
help.
current events.
Jen will be able to help you because she's the best interviewer in the business here on Facebook. And
great.
so, Robert, you told people where to get the book. Jen, anything you have to say last?
I just want to say, I just sure hope that Jen got all the answers that she was looking for in regards to everything that she asked. And I'm pretty sure that the watchers and listeners on tonight's broadcast really got a very good idea about our social life in the communistic times and
Amazing.
what took place afterwards. Like I said, I really want to tell the people that if they do want to get more information, not only just from the book, but also me telling them they can do so on Facebook, which bears the same name as on my book, Robert V. Angel Dash Little. You can get into the private messenger and you can ask me whatever you want. I don't have a problem with answering whatever dumb or interesting questions you guys have.
Yep.
Other than that, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being
No problem.
here.
Thank you.
God bless you all and
All
stay
right.
safe because those tornadoes are ripping through whatever they're going. So
They
God
are.
bless you
That's
all.
scary.
All right,
Thank you.
Robert. We'll have you back. I'll talk to you probably later tonight or tomorrow.
No problem.
All right. All right,
Take
Robert.
care.
Thank you for
Take
Thank
care.
you.
coming
Thank
in
you,
tonight.
Jen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Jen,
Awesome.
anything else you have to say to close up?
No, that was really good. That was so in
It was.
depth. I learned
It was a
I
very,
learned too much.
it was
Yeah,
an
it was
excellent,
good.
it was an excellent broadcast. It was live on Facebook, all over Facebook. A couple of people were sharing it on Facebook. It
Oh,
was
good for
live
you.
on X. It was live on Threads. It was live on Streetlock, and I'm forgetting it was live. It was live on Winkin, although it was a little bit of a hassle trying to get it connected up on Winkin. So I apologize. We'll probably go back later, and once the live stream is posted on YouTube, we'll probably go back and put it up on Winkin uh,
Awesome.
from there. Anyway, Jen, always a pleasure. Go have a great evening. Say hi to
You
Jesse.
too.
Make sure
I will.
make sure your son is closer to getting married, and not worrying about the 4-speed Crown Vic.
Oh, that's funny. Thank you.
All
I'll
right,
stop.
Jen.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
All right, Jen, the homeschool mom, Woodruff. Again, on if you're thinking about homeschooling your children and you need answers, Jen Woodruff is a person to go to. I did finally get in Messenger just before we went on the website that I keep telling you about that is a national website. She did send me a link to it, and I will get it posted in the groups in the next few days. And we will go there. We will have Robert back, and I hope everyone got their questions answered tonight during the broadcast. So you have been watching Boogie with the Bull Tuesday Night Live, a copyrighted presentation of the No Budget Broadcasting Company, and the views expressed are those of the people who took involvement through cameras that you saw and in the live chat. Those views are those of those people and not necessarily the views of any network that we're on, or not even the views of any network that we're on. And if anyone disagrees with anything that they heard, they're more than welcome to come on and explain why. And today, nobody has, but the opportunity is there. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., join Randy Rhodes and I for Wednesday morning caffeine. And then Thursday night looks like at 7 p.m. will be an open discussion broadcast. If it happens, there's a possibility that Thursday may be canceled. That's all I can say. Is that Thursday may be canceled, and you'll know about it if you tune in at 7 o'clock Thursday night and you don't see us on. Other than that, live well and prosper and all of that good stuff. And if you have computer questions, you're still welcome to contact David Novar. We call him Dr. David Novar, computer technician, and he will answer your questions. And he may suggest things that you might want to consider acquiring and will correct whatever situations that you're having. I understand as a result of the sponsorship announcements that David is getting here, people are actually contacting him and doing business with him. So it works. And if it works for David, maybe it'll work for you. All you got to do is let me know, and we'll talk about it from there. Message me, or catch me. Message me, and we'll go from there. Anyway, like I said, tonight we're live all over Facebook. We were live on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel. We were live on X, on the @BoogieWT profile, our X profile. We were live on Winkin from the YouTube channel, but it didn't look like it actually loaded 100% properly. So after the broadcast, once the podcast posts on YouTube, I will probably go back and take it again and drop it onto Winkin. Right now, we are not live streaming to LinkedIn. We are just testing LinkedIn by putting the broadcast on there and see what kind of response we get, and we'll make a decision down the road. And on that note, it is now 8:59, and I'm going to go to bed. My wife has to go to bed, and the dogs have to go to bed, and the cat has to go to bed. Everybody has to go to bed fairly soon, and I took my meds, so I'm going to be tired and sleeping fairly soon. So good night. We'll see you all tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. My profile on Facebook and everywhere else.